Yes, press record. Welcome everybody to HKIMO Finals 2023. This is Mac Review with Teacher JC or Coach JC. That's the name I go by. So HKIMO is divided into five categories: logical thinking, arithmetic, number theory, geometry, and combinatorics or combinatorics, right? So we'll start with the logical thinking first. So for logical thinking, we have a question that says, according to the pattern shown below, what is the number in the blank? So again, if you have questions like this, it is very essential for us to look for the difference first, right? Just for us to see if there's like a certain common difference. So now, if we do try, 7 minus 1 is 6. 13 minus 7 is still 6 again. 13 minus 3 is still 6. And if you go on and go on and on, you would realize that there has been a certain pattern, and that is just to increase the next number by 6, right? So therefore, all we have to do at the last question is 31 plus 6, right? And which that is equal to what? 31 plus 6, that's 37. So the answer for number 1 is 36. Clear, everybody? No further questions? Yes, Gia, you have a question? If you have a question, you may raise your hand, but if there is none, please refuse. Okay? So let's go. Let's have number 2. Yeah, there's like 66 of us already. So it's 67, so that's like a lot, right? So therefore, that's 37. I can see it also in the chat box. Your answers were 67. Okay, here. Tomorrow will be Friday. Which day of the week? Again, refuse to annotate. Don't annotate, and also stay muted, because if you guys would somebody would annotate other than me, then others would get excited to annotate as well, and it would be a total chaos after. So in here, tomorrow will be Friday. Which day of the week will 20 days later be? So obviously, to get this one, that's just number of days divided by 7, right? Number of days divided by 7, that's 2 remainder 6, and the 6 will tell us how many days should we count after the given day, right? If tomorrow will be Friday, then that means today is what? Today is a Thursday. And 6 days after Thursday, that's Wednesday. So therefore, the answer for number 2 is Wednesday. Okay, let's have number 3. Number 3. The age of Sammy 5 years ago is equal to the age of Joseph 9 years ago. How old is Sammy when Joseph is 23 years old? So what I do love to do when I have questions like this is I like to turn these statements into a mathematical equation. So how do I do that? So, diba? I keep on telling you that math is just like the lazy way of writing things, right? Because instead of writing like a full name, math simply just look for a number, or not numbers, just look for a letter or a symbol to symbolize the name itself. So for, let's just say S for Sammy and J for Joseph, okay? It says here, Sammy 5 years ago. So 5 years ago, is that addition or subtraction? It is subtraction because it says ago. So Sammy 5 years ago, that's S minus 5, or Sammy 5 years ago. That says equal to. So therefore, we have an equal sign. And that is equal to Joseph 9 years ago, right? So now we are asking for how old is Sammy when Joseph is 23 years old. So after being able to like wrap up this entire statement into just this one, right? Imagine this whole sentence is just S minus 5 is equal to J minus 9, right? So now that is just like S, or Sammy minus 5 is equal to Joseph. It says Joseph is 23 years old, so we are going to substitute. So now instead of writing J, we write 23 because it says Joseph is 23 years old. So 23 minus 9. So 23 minus 9 is what? 23 minus 9 is what? It's
14.
14. So now that's S. We move this to the other side. So now if it's minus 5, if we move that to the other side, it will now be plus 5. So now, if Joseph is 23 years old, Sammy would then be 19 years old. Got it? Clear? Okay. If it's all clear, let's move all together with number 4. A tree is planted every 12 meters in a street from one end, and there are 10 trees on the street on one side. How long in meters is the street? So let's just say that this is the road. The blue one is the road. And then let's just say this one's the trees. Let me just draw this one. So this is just some random, wait lang. These are just the leaves. I'll try to draw the trunk now. I hope it looks a bit of a tree. Okay, so now it looks somehow a tree, right? So now if you can see, it says here, a tree is planted every 12 meters. I mean to say the distance here to here is 12 meters, right? So there are 10 trees on the street and one side. So how long in meters is the street? So M stands for meters, okay? So now what should we do? So to get that, the distance is what? The distance is 12, right? And then you have to multiply that with what? With? With?
And minus 1.
Yes, 10 minus 1. Why is it minus 1? Because we're looking for the distance, right? So this means this is just like the area between this one and this one, right? So therefore, we have to exclude the first 3, right? So 12 times 10 minus 1, that is just 12 times 9, which is just equal to what? 108. So number 4, the answer is 108. Is that clear? Is that clear? Okay. If it's all clear, give me a thumbs up. If you have questions, you may raise it. If you have none, let's proceed with the number 5. So here, according to the pattern shown below, how many, let's just say, X more than arrows is or are there in the 115th group? So for those of you who are my student already, I have been telling you always that the way for me to solve this one is for me to check it and like present it in the form of numbers, because I can easily visualize things if it's placed in numbers. Now, if you can see, we're looking for how many X's more than the arrow is or are there. So if you can see here, there's one more X, right? Because there's no arrow. And here, there's like 3 more because that is just like 4 minus 1, right? And here, that is just like 5 minus 4, which is 1. Because if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, and if you count the number of X's, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So if you can see, the pattern is just what? 1, 3, 1, 3, right? So it means like for every odd number, the result would be 1, and for every even number, the result would be 3, right? We are looking for the 115th group. 115 is what? Odd or even? It is odd.
Odd.
Therefore, that is what? The answer would then be 1 because 115th is is odd, so therefore the answer is 1 because the pattern is just 1 3 1 3. Clear? Clear? Give me a thumbs up if it's all clear. Okay. If it's all clear, then let's proceed with the next number. And the next number is number 6. Within 1 month, how at most, how many dates is or are even numbers? So at most, what's the most number of days in a month? That's 31, right? And how many possibilities are there? There are two only, right? It could be odd or it could be an even date, right? It could be odd or even. So that's basically like 31 divided by 2, which is just 15, remainder 1. Since we're asking for at most, so therefore the answer will just be 15. Basically half of it, right? Basically half of it. So we know already that the remainder 1 is not an even number because the last number is 31, right? 31, which is odd, right? So if you try to list down everything, you would arrive at the same answer, which is 15. Clear for number 6? Okay, and that's it. We're done for logical thinking. Let me check in the chat box if all of you were right. Oh no. Why were you like having some spam chats? Yeah, the answer is 15. Okay, let's move on with arithmetic this time. So for arithmetic, find the value of 13 plus 15 plus 17 plus 19 plus 45 plus 21 plus 23 plus 25 plus 27. So obviously this is just what? This is just grouping, right? So for those of you who doesn't know or who doesn't understand this technique, grouping is basically grouping all those numbers. For example, if it ends with 1, you group it with the number that ends with 9. Why? Because if you add 1 and 9, we could have 10. A number that ends with 0 is easier to check if we were trying to check all our answers all together rather than manually adding it. Plus, it's faster as well if you get to master the technique. So, for example, 13 and 27, right? 15 and 25, 13 and 23, 19 and 21 plus 45, right? So now if we try to check this one, 13 plus 27 is 40. Same goes with 15 and 25, 19 and 21, 23 and 27 is 50. Wait lang. This is supposed to be 50. But it's not supposed to be 23 and 27. It's supposed to be 23 and 17. So my apologies. It's supposed to be 17 because the 27 is already paired in here, okay? So don't get confused. This one is supposed to be 23 plus 17. Thus, it's equal to 40. Again, refuse to annotate. So now 40 plus 40 plus 40 plus 40 plus 45 is what? It is. Again, refuse to annotate. Annotating other than me is not allowed. Okay? Okay, I have disabled annotation already. So therefore, the answer is 205. Clear, everybody? Clear? Okay,
Yes.
all clear, then let's proceed with number 8. So for number 8, we have find the value of 29 times 33 plus 67 times 29. If you can see, it's quite a big number to multiply with, right? However, if you can see, 29 and 29 seems to be repeating, right? Because if you're going to multiply this manually, it would look like this. By the rules of MDOS, we need to follow this one. 29 times 33, 67 times 29, before adding it all together, right? So now, we can factor out 29. So it can look like 29, and then close and open parenthesis, 33 plus 67. And what is 33 plus 67 equal to? That is just 100. So that is just like 29 times 100, which is basically right, like bring down the zeros, 1, 2, and then 29 times 1, that's 29. So therefore, the answer is 2,900. That easy. Yes, Daniel, what is it?
Question.
Yes.
This one question. Isn't this supposed to be an exam, not, you know, an extra training?
It's a Mac review.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah, it's a Mac review. Like it's already in the. I think there's like a link already for you to have it like an examination, Daniel. Did you not answer it before the discussion? You didn't.
What do you
There's already a link that has been passed that you have to answer. And this is just like a review, right? Like a discussion for everybody. Okay, Daniel. Let's move forward with number, yes, that's just it. Number 9. So we have 2 times 5 times 4 times 25 divided by 1,000. So by the rule of MDOS, what do you do? What should we do? We have to what? Solve
so
the multiplications first. Yeah, we have to settle the multiplications first. That means we could have 2 times 5, which is 10, 4 times 25, which is 100. So in turn, we'll have 10 times 100, which is just equal to 1,000. And 1,000 divided by 1,000, that is just 1. So therefore,
think
the answer for number 1,
one.
9 is just 1. That easy. So the math exam is fairly
What?
easy compared to the class marker.
I think someone's swearing in chat.
Somebody is wearing in chat. Please refrain to
One, like one. And then he blurred it.
Jaden also stop sending this text. Okay, so let's have number 10. So for number 10, find the value of 1 minus 2 plus 3 minus 4 plus 5 minus 6 plus 7 minus, and it would continue to minus 18 plus 19 minus 20 plus 21. For those of you who doesn't understand what the dot 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 means, that's simply continuous, meaning to say it would continue. The pattern would continue. So eventually it would become 6 plus 7 minus 8 plus 9 minus 10. It would look like that. Which is basically, if you can see, the pattern is just like this. So there's two ways you could do this one. You could do regrouping, meaning to say you can group all the plus and group all the minus. Or you could do this one, which is far easier. 21 minus 20, 1. 18 19, 1. So basically, it would just turn into a pattern. So from numbers 1 to 21, I think we know already the answer. How many pairs do we get from 1 to 20? 10, right? 10 plus 1, because we have a 21. So therefore, that would be 11. Right? Got it? So basically, we just did rearranging. So, or canceling method. We have 29, 21 minus 20, 19 minus 18, 7 minus 6, 5 minus 4, 3 minus 2, and then 1. So how many pairs, or you could just basically do this one. Half of 20 is what? 10, right? 10, and then plus 1, because we have 21 numbers all in all. So 1 wouldn't have a pair, right? So therefore, it would look like 11 at the end. Clear? Okay. If it's all clear, let's move forward with what? Number 11. Okay. Number 11, we have 240 divided by 8 plus 320 divided by 4 plus 400 divided by 10. Right? We could actually do the same thing or the same technique that we did last time. So we can actually do this one. So 240 divided by 8. So it's just like saying 24 divided by 8, right? What is 24 divided by 8? What is 24 divided by 8? That's just 3, right? So basically, 240 can be written as 30 times 8, right? Over 8. And then we can add that with 320. What is 320? That is just like 32 divided by 4, which is still equal to what? 80 times 4 over 4, right? My math is low, but okay, here. And then finally, we can have 40 times 10 over 10. Now, for those of you who are confused, I simply rewrote 240. 240 can also be written as 30 times 8. That's divided by 8, so that's over 8. Now, why did I do it like this? Because I want to cancel it out. So if I cancel it out, I would be left with what? 30 plus 80 plus 40, which in turn is just equal to 80 plus 40, 120, 120 plus 30, that's just equal to 150. And is that the answer for number 11? It is. So therefore, number 11 is just 150. Okay, number 12. Find the value of 2 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8. That's basically increasing by 2's, right? Number, number 12 is just basically increasing by 2's. So therefore, we could just think of a technique, right? The highest number, so the smallest number is what? 2. And you remember this technique? Take the smallest and then the largest, and then what? You multiply it with how many terms are there. How many terms are there? It's from 2 to 28, so obviously just half of 28, that is 14, right? So what is 2 plus 28 equal to? That is 30. What is 30 times 14? What is 30 times 14? That is, this is 0. 3 times 14, that is 12. Carry 1, so that is 420, right? 420 divided by 2. Why is it divided by 2? Because remember, we're not adding the 3 and the rest, right? It's just the 2's, right? So therefore, that would be 210. So if you can also do it manually as well, if you want, you can also do regrouping. So this would look like 28 paired with 2, 26 paired with 4, 24 paired with 6, 22 paired with 8. You can also do that way. So there's like a lot of ways to solve this one. But one way to solve this one, when there's like a clear pattern with you're adding numbers, take the smallest plus the largest, multiply it with how many terms are there, and then divide it with 2 because this one is increasing by 2's, right? So therefore, the answer will then be 210. Clear? Clear already, everybody? Okay. If it's all clear, then let's just move on with number 13. So the three dots there, that forms a triangle, that just means therefore. It is read in mathematics as therefore. Got it? So that's it. We're done with the arithmetic. We're going with number theory. So for number theory, we have a question that says, define the operation symbol A operation B is equal to A operation B plus 2 times A. So if you were in my class, you know already that this is just basically substitution, right? So all we have to do is determine which one is A and which one is B, right? So in this case, since we always have to think about PEMDAS, okay? So first, you have to remember, you have to know what's inside the parenthesis first. That's 3 operation 2, which looks like A and B, right? So therefore, that is just like what? A would then be 3, B would then be 2, right? So that means that it's just like 3 plus 2 plus 2. I'm just copying here, okay? So that's 3 plus 2 plus 2 times 3. So that's basically what? 6 plus 5, right? Which is what? 11. So now that we know this one's 11, we simply have to go 11 operation 4. So this time, A would be 11. And then B would be what? B would be 4. So now, simply A, that's 11, plus B, which is 4, plus 2 times A, which is 11. So that is just like 22, and then 11 plus 4. So that is just like 33 plus 4, which is equal to 37. Now, is that the answer for number 13? That is 37. So basically, substitution. But if it looks like this, solve what's inside the parenthesis first. Identify which one is A and which one is B and just solve it. Got it? Okay. Now let's have number 14. So for number 14, Amy and John have 100 peanuts in total. John has 22 more than Amy. How many peanuts does Amy have? So basically, this is just like what? Amy plus John. So let's try to make this into a mathematical statement again, right? So Amy plus John. Why is it plus? Because it says total. So if you are going to add Amy and John, that would be equal to 100. Now the next sentence is John is just what? John has 22 more than Amy. So that's 22 plus Amy, right? Right? So now, how many peanuts does Amy have? So what is that? So that is just basically 100, because there are 100, minus 22. Why is it minus 22? Because John has 22 more, right? So basically, we just simply have to subtract 22 and then divide it with 2. Why? Because that's just the amount of what? Why is it divided by 2? Because there are 2 people involved. We have Amy and John, right? We have Amy and John, so that's divided by 2. So we just simply subtracted the 22 because that is supposed to be the number of peanuts that John has more than Amy, right? So if you take out the 22 itself, they would have equal, right? So now that's 100 minus 22, that's 78. 78 divided by 2, that's 39. So meaning to say, the answer here is 39. Clear? Okay, let's have number 15. So number 15, the numbers below follow an arithmetic sequence. What is the value of the 100th term? So for you who are my students already, you know, my technique is Super Sally makes art. If the pattern is increasing and it says it's an arithmetic sequence, all we have to do is remember Super Sally makes art. So again, these are just operations in math. I mean, just thought of an acronym that would make it like something memorable. So we have Super Sally makes art. So Super Sally, that is just subtraction, right? Can I take this call?
Wow. What happened?
Okay, I was just like I answered. Someone called and I simply answered because that's quite an emergency. But let's continue with number 15 and let's have a break after, right? Because that's break time. So basically, 100 terms. So that's like 100 minus 1, right? Which is just equal to what? 99, right? And then after that, we subtract the first two terms. Now, what is that? That's 19 minus 13, which is just what? That's just 6. Now, after that, whatever we got, like the difference that we got, you multiply that together. And what is 99 times 6? What's 99 times 6 equal to? 99 times 6. That is equal to 594. Now, 594 plus the first term, that is equal to what? The first term is equal to what? 13, right? So 594 plus 13, that's equal to what? 607. So therefore, the answer for number 15 is what? 607. All clear? Okay, if it's all clear, it's currently 11:56. Okay, you can have a 14-minute break. Be back by 12:10. Okay, thank you everyone.
What? What happened? Please don't chatting. Why? Jump. Don't chat the fire. Don't chat. This is a break time. Break time. Everybody. What? Break time? We have 1 hour. Why? It's a break time. Why? Is it retarded? Bro,
What time is it in Vietnam or Myanmar right now? In Thailand. What time is it right now? In the Philippines, it's 12:10 p.m. by the way. So for those of you who are confused, 12:10 p.m. Philippine time, okay? Because I forgot to take into account that we may have different like time. So I'm following the Philippine time, okay? That's 12:10 p.m. Philippine time, okay? Just for you guys not to get confused, okay? Yeah. I was doing like this and I forgot that my camera is off. Okay. So again, everybody, that's 12:10 p.m. Philippine time, okay? I'm just having some food. It's called caldereta. Yeah, it's caldereta. It's like a Filipino dish. But if I were to choose, my favorite dish would be a Thai dish. I don't know if I am pronouncing it correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's the wind. It closed my door. Okay. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Correct me from those people from Thailand, but it's pad krapao. Yeah. I like pad krapao. And then you paired it with tom yum. So there's like a store here, like a resto here near my place. And my comfort food would always be that. I like it because it's spicy. It's called pad krapao. But they're not available for delivery. So I can't order from them. So right now, I'm caldereta from Kuya Jake.
it is very spicy or not very spicy?
What is it?
I'm asking that one. It is spicy?
Caldereta or the pad krapao?
I'm nothing.
Yeah, I like spicy foods. Are you guys allowed to eat spicy foods already or not yet?
I have eat it.
I
I have
like spicy food too.
Me as well. I
So
think
like spicy
uh,
food.
not hate, no hate at all for those people who don't eat spicy foods, but I think the food is bland if it's not spicy.
honestly, I may be a fan of spicy food, but compared to Thai food, I'm no match.
Yeah, Thai foods are amazing. I like the level of spiciness they have, so I prefer them.
I eat spicy noodles po.
Yeah, the same with me. I for spicy noodles, I like Nongshim. It's a ramen. It's a
And
Korean
after this,
ramen.
everyone, I shall activate the super weapon.
You have a lot of gadgets. Okay, by the way, it's still recording.
Tom Jang-gon.
It's Okay, recording is now in progress. Let's continue with number 16. So for number 16, we have a question that says, what is the largest three-digit even number? So this is fairly easy because the highest would then be, or the largest would then be 999. But since we're looking for an even number, so eventually it would mean 998. It doesn't mean that it can't be if it's repeating number, right? It doesn't indicate that. It needs the largest even numbers. Obviously, it would be 998. Clear? Okay. Now let's have number 17. So for number 17, the sum of five consecutive numbers is 50. Find the value of the smallest number among all numbers. So when you say consecutive, what does that mean? Consecutive meaning say like numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Like 10, 11, 12. Those are consecutive numbers. So we have 5 consecutive numbers. So when you have something like this, simply divide the sum of the consecutive numbers by how many numbers are there. So therefore, that's just like 50 divided by 5, which is 10. Which means that 10 is the middle value. Got it? 10 is the middle value. So whatever the sum is, divided by how many consecutive numbers are there, the result or the quotient would then be the middle value. Since since there are 5 consecutive, so we'll put 5 blanks, so that would be 11. This is 12. This is 9. This is 8. So the smallest value is equal to what? It's equal to 8. Got it? So the answer here is 8. Number 17, the answer is 8. Okay, number 18. Amy and John, so we have Amy and John again. Amy and John have 150 peanuts in total. Oh, kanina, marami silang peanuts din, di ba? So, Amy and John have 150 peanuts in total. John has 2 times as Amy's, right? So, how many peanuts does John have? So, basically, this is just what? John has twice as Amy. So, basically, this is just 150 divided by 3, right? Because John is just twice. So basically, whatever this one, just add 1. Okay, if it says twice, like that, just add 1 and then divide it. So 150 divided by 3, that is like what? 50, right? So now, 50 is just equal to Amy's, right? So meaning to say, if we were to make a bar graph, 150 is divided into 3 parts, and these are all John's, and this one is Amy. So if Amy is 50, obviously this part is 100, right? Because they altogether they have to make 150. So therefore, the answer here is 100 because we're looking for John. Got it? So the answer is 100. Or simply simply put it, that's just 50 times 2, which is 100. Okay, all clear? Let's move on with geometry. Okay, here, how many squares are in the figure below? So when you have questions like this, always remember to start with the smaller ones first. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There are 11 small squares, right? Now, after that, we'll have to move on for the 2 by 2 square. So 2 by 2 meaning to say there would be 2 columns, 2 rows. So just like this one, 1 and 2. There are only 2 of it, right? You have none at all after that. So that is just 11 plus 2, which is equal to 13. So therefore, the answer for this one is 13. All clear? Clear? Okay. If it's all clear, let's move on with number 20. Number 20. A pyramid has 15 vertices. How many edges does it have? So to get the pyramid, what is just that? If you try to draw a pyramid, just for you to understand, if you're having some trouble having to like memorize all of the solution, just try to think about this one. Okay, we have a pyramid here with a square base, right? We have a pyramid with a square base. If you try to count its edges, its vertices, it would be 1. Let me use a different color. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's five vertices, right? How about the edges? How many edges does it have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What have you noticed? There are 5 vertices, 8 edges. So it's basically what? 5 minus 1 times 2, right? So therefore, in this case, that is just 15 minus 1, which is 14, and then multiply it with 2 to get the number of edges. So that would mean 14 times 2, which is equal to 20. Clear? Clear? So the answer here is 28. Again, this is true for pyramids. Got it? So if the given is vertices and it's looking for edges, just minus 1 times 2. Got it? Okay. If it's clear, let's have number 21. For 21, the side length of a square is 5. Find the perimeter. So what makes a square a square? A square needs to have what? 4 equal sides, right? So if one side length is 5, then that means all sides should still be 5. So there are 2 ways you can solve this. You could either 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, or you could multiply, which is just 4 times 5. Eventually, we would arrive with the same answer, and that is just what? That is 20. So because perimeter is just basically adding all the sides together. Got it? Got it clear? Okay. If it's all clear, then let's move forward with number 22. For number 22, at least how many squares can be seen if we view the figure below from the sides? If you view it from the side, we would have a view that looks somehow like this, right? Since we're looking for the number of squares, let's just use the stamps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Teacher, this is a square also. This is a 2 by 2 square. We're looking for the unit squares, okay? So therefore, that would be 8. Clear? Yeah, clear for number 22? It's 8. Why is it 8? Because if you view it from the side, we could get a figure that looks like this. And if you count the number of faces or the number of squares, that is just equal to 8. Clear? Okay. If it's all clear, let's move forward with number 23. Okay, here. How many triangles is or are there in the figure below? So this one, this thing right here is to trick you actually. It's just there to trick you. So imagine there's like a match. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 matchsticks, right? Now, how many triangles are there? So imagine you have to twirl it around, like you have to rotate it. So let's just say we'll try to make it look like this. So it can connect the matches all together. So how many triangles do you think we can make? How many triangles do you think we can make? So let's just say like this. We'll try to connect them all together. And then, how many can we make? So if we try to count, let's start with the small ones first. Always start with the small ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6, right? If we count the smaller ones. But that's just not it. We still have more. We still have this one, the bigger one. And that is what? That's just the only one, right? So that's 6 plus 1, which is equal to 7. That's why the answer here is 7. Clear? No further questions? Let me see in the chat box if there are questions. Okay, I see no questions, only answers. So therefore, it's clear. Okay, good job, everybody. Okay, let's move on with number 24. Okay, here. At most, how many lines can be formed using 6 points on a plane? Again, at least how many lines can be made using 6 points in a plane? How many are there with 6 points? 6 points on a plane. So we don't know what kind of plane would that be, right? So let's just say this one. Would it be like this? Would it be like this? Would we get the maximum if we do it like this? In the plane. Actually, the trick there, the most lines you can make is, have you ever I know this one's not a plane, but this one you can visualize it better, okay? This one you can visualize it better because have you ever remembered the line segments? Have you ever remembered the line segments?
Yes.
Yes. So if there are 3 points, how many lines are there? How many? How many? 3. If there are 4, there are 6. If there are 5, there are 10. How about if there are 6? Have you tried to count? So if you try 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 5. And then if we start here, if we start on the second point, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So can you see the pattern? Can you see a pattern? So if we try on the third one, that's just basically 1, 2, 3. So I'm just stating that, for example, we start on this point. How many line segments can we make, right? Now, if we start at the fourth one, we could have 1, and then 2, and then finally on the last part, we could have a 1, meaning to say this point to this point, right? So basically, that is just like what? 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1, which is just equal to what? This is 5, this is 5, so therefore 15. Clear? Clear with number 24? Why is that 15? Okay, if it's all clear, then let's move forward with number 25 for combinatorics or combinatorics. Okay, here, a group of 15 students are taking photos, 2 students at a time. Each student has to take a photo with each of their schoolmates. How many pictures at least is or are there to be taken? So this is just what? A case about what? NCR. So if you were my student, you would be quite familiar with this one already. But if you're not, worry not. I'll explain today. So how many students are there? 15. And each would be taking photos, 2 students at a time. So how many photos should be taken so that everybody could be paired with each other, right? So therefore, it's just like this. 15 combination of 2, right? So what is 15 combination of 2? So teacher, what is that? Or coach, what is that? So basically, whatever you got here in the first one, so we have number what? We have 15, right? So whatever we have here, the first number, multiply it up until it reaches 1. Got it? So 15 times 14 times 13 times 12 times 11 times 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Now you might say, Coach, that's way too big. How am I going to do that? Worry not. Don't try to multiply it first, okay? Because you would get tired. So therefore, what you're going to do is this one. Proceed first. Don't touch it yet, okay? Just leave it as that, like in multiplication form. So whatever you got here, we have 15 and 2, you subtract it, okay? So what is 15 minus 2 equal to? That's equal to 13. So therefore, all we have to do is just 13 times 12 times 11 times 10 times 9 times 8, the same thing, times 7 times 6. You multiply it as well up until it reaches 1. Basically the same thing. And then after that, we'll try to get the next number as well. So since we did na already 15, we also got the difference. So now all we have left is to take the 2 and do the same thing. Multiply it up until it reaches 1. Now remember, I told you not to touch anything yet, not to multiply anything yet. Why is that? It's because we still have numbers we can crash out with. So what are those numbers now we can crash out with? These are the numbers that has been repeating. Now, what are those numbers that has been repeating? We have this one, right? We have this one. 13 times 12 is just the same as this one, right? So therefore, just like that, everything is gone, right? So all we have left is what? 15 times 14 over 2 times 1. And what is 14 times 13 and 15 times 14 equal to? What is 15 times 14 equal to?
210.
Oh, you were in unison. Very good. 210. 210 over 2. So that's basically 210 divided by 2. So 210 divided by 2, that is just 105. And that's it. That's the answer for number 25. That's 105. To summarize what we have done, we did NCR. Basically, that's 15 combination of 2. So therefore, first take the 15, multiply it up until it reaches 1. Proceed to the bottom, subtract it first. Now the difference, multiply it as well up until it reaches 1. And then finally, the last number. So after that, we try to look for some things we can crash out with. What are those things we can crash out with? Those repeating numbers. So after we crash out everything, that would then be 15 times 4. On the bottom, we have 2 times 1. So that's 210 over 2, which is just equal to 105. Clear? Okay, if it's all clear, let's move forward with number 26. For 26, it says, choose 3 digits without repetition from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to form 3-digit numbers. How many even numbers is or are there? So earlier today, we had the same or we have similar problem, right? So we're looking for what? We're looking for a 3-digit even number. So therefore, 3 blanks for 3-digit. So our options are what? we have options 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can try to list down everything. However, that would take us a lot of time. So we'll try to do this technique. So in here, since we have a limit, and that is to make an even number, so therefore, we have to use the even numbers at the end, right? So what are those even numbers? We have 2 and 4. So meaning to say, at the end, we have two options. Remember, we have to prioritize the unit digit or the ones place. Why? It's because we wanted to get an even number. That's the condition, right? So there are two options. 2 signifies for two options. Okay, we have two options, namely 2 and 4. Now, since we used one number here, let's just say we used 2, we only have 4 options left for the hundreds place, right? And then for the middle term, that would be what? 3 only. Because we also took one option from the first one. So therefore, that would mean that's 4 times 3 times 2, which is basically like 24, because that is just 12 times 2, which is 24. So the answer for number 26 is 24. Clear? Okay. If it's all clear, let's proceed with number 27. So for 27, choose 6 digits without repetition again. So that means we cannot do 44, we cannot do 999. We cannot repeat the digits basically because it says without repetition. So without repetition, that means from 4, 1, 5, 7, 8, and 9, what is the least value of these 3 digits? So we have to make 2 3-digit numbers, right? So now we're going to get the what? The least possible. So therefore, we're going to use the hundreds place, the least number. So we have out of these numbers, this one is the smallest, right? This one's the minimum. So therefore, that's 1 and 4. So for this, we can interchange now already. We could have 1, 5, and then we could have this one 7, and this one could be 8, and this one could be 9, or interchanged actually. This could be 159, this would be 478, it doesn't matter, just the end of it. So 158 plus 479, that is what? That is 637. So the minimum or the least value of the 3-digit numbers is 637. Okay? So again, what did we do? First is we chose the hundreds place because that's the critical part. We have to use the least possible numbers, and that's 1 and 4. The next numbers that are least are 5 and 7. So therefore, that's 5 and then 7. And for the last one, these could be interchanged, but it doesn't matter. We can have 158 plus 479. That's 637. And that is for number 27. All clear? All clear? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, if it's all clear, let's have number 28. Okay, I think we can end on time. We'll end early. Yay! So you guys have been so great. Also, these questions are fairly easy as well, right? So number 28. In class 3C, there are 31 students. Again, in class 3C, there are 31 students. Now, at least, how many students' birthday is or are there with the same day of the week? There are 31 students, and we wanted to know how many students' birthday is or are there with the same day of the week. So therefore, that is just like what? 31 students divided by the number of days in a week, and that is 7. So 31 divided by 7, that is what? That's 4, remainder 3, right? And what did I tell you? If there are any remainders, just no matter the value of the remainder is, would it be 6, would it be whatever the value is, as long as it has a remainder, always add 1. So 4 plus 1, the answer would then be 5. So therefore, the answer for number 28 is 5. Clear? Clear? Okay. Good job, everybody. Number 29. Two more questions. Last two questions. Okay, number 29. Numbers are drawn from 48 integers from 1 to 48. At least, how many numbers are drawn at random to ensure that there are two numbers whose sum is 30? When the question is stated like this, drawn, and then it says there at least how many numbers are drawn at random to ensure. What does this signify? We have to look for the worst case scenario or the worst possible scenario. So when you say worst case scenario, we have to think of the worst case. So therefore, our we have to cater first this one. Two numbers whose sum is 30. So what are those numbers from 1 to 48 whose sum is 30? 1 to 48. What are those? Whose sum is 30? We could have 1 and 29, right? We could have 2 and 28. We could have 3 and 27. That's all equal to 30, right? We could have 4 and what? 4 and 4 and 26, 5 and 25. What else? We could have 6 and 24, 7 and 23, 8 and 22, 9 and 21. We have 10 and 20. Do we still have more? Yes, we do. We still have what? We still have what?
11 and 19.
Yes, 11 and 19. We could have 12 and 18. We could have 13 and what? 13 and 17. And we could have 14 and 16. Right? Right? Is that it?
Yes.
Yes. We could also have 15 and 15 itself, right?
No, we cannot have that
Why?
because
Because
repeat 15.
they are both 15.
There was one 15, so we cannot have two 15.
Very good. So it says there that it's just 1 to 48. So therefore, we cannot have 15 by itself, right? Because there could only be one 15 out of the 1 to 48, right? It says there are two numbers whose sum is 30. So other than this, do we still have other numbers whose sum is equal to 30? None at all, right? So therefore, how many pairs did we do? How many pairs?
14 pairs. 14 pairs.
14 pairs. Very good. So that is equal to 48 minus 14. So why is it 48 minus 14? To get how many numbers?
It must be 48 minus 28 because it has 14 pairs, so there are 28 numbers.
Yeah. But we're talking about pairs yet. What is it? We're talking about pairs yet. So these are just this ensured those two numbers. So 1 to 48, how many numbers would there be? From 1 to 48. Obviously there would be what? There would be 48 numbers. Why did I erase everything? Oh no. So would it be 48 minus 14 or would it be 48 minus 28? What?
So we can see that how many numbers that don't fit the question.
Mm-hmm. The answer would then be 14 lang. Why? It's because it needs to be a pair, right? So meaning to say, we just want to take out the pair. Get it? Get it? Because we need two numbers whose sum is 30, right? We need two numbers whose sum is 30. So therefore, it's just like this. 48 minus 14, which is equal to what? 34, right? 34. Now, why is it just minus 14? So think of it this way. We need a pair. If we got 1, we need 29. So therefore, the worst case scenario is that we got all those numbers that are not like, we won't get a, if you add it together, you can get 30. Let's just say you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, and 13, and 14. Those are numbers that can't give you an equal sum, which is 30, right? And together with the other numbers like 31, 32, those are already given, right? However, you'd say that on your 35th get, let's just say you have already the numbers from 1 to 14. Eventually, in your 35th draw, you would get a number that could be paired with any of those numbers before. So let's just say you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then up until 14, and then 31, 32, up until 48. You got all those numbers. That's the worst case scenario, right? That's the worst thing that could happen. However, on your 34th draw, because all those numbers are gone already, you have drawn it out. You could either get 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16. Any of those pair. Now, for example, you got 21. You already have drawn 9, right? So therefore, when you draw 21, you could get a number that could be paired with itself, right? You could pair 29 and 21. So now, if you add it all together, you can get a number whose sum is 30. So therefore, to ensure that you have a number whose sum is 30, at least you have to get 35 draws. Get it? Here, why is it it's supposed to be 35 and not minus 28? Because if you minus 28, let's just take minus 28, meaning to say all of these numbers can't be drawn yet. So if you minus 28, you can't ensure that the next thing that you get would be a number that could be paired with this one. So just minus 14, just the pair, okay? Get it? Clear? You have any questions? Okay, let me see in the chat box if you have any questions. Yes, the answer is 30. That's 34 plus 1. Very good. 34 plus 1, which is 35. So basically, get the pairs, take the half of it, subtract it, add 1. Okay, number 30. Last number. Let's go. If Andy goes from point A to point B, each step can only move down or left. How many ways is or are there? So we have something that looks like this, right? So we can only move what? Down or left. So let's just say that this is point B, and then you can only move down or left. So therefore, left and down would be 1, right? 1, 1, 1. Why 1? Because there's one way to go there. That's to the left and going down, right? So now, we can I just first? Okay, 1 plus 1 is what? This is 2. So 1 plus 1. Looking,
2 plus 1 is 3.
I'm talking still. Okay, 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 1, it's 3. Who's
3.
not muted? If you have questions, you may ask it, okay? You may say it in the chat box. Okay, here, let's do it again. 1 and 2. So this is still 1 because we don't have anything connected to it, right? Still 1. So now 1 and 2, that's 3. 3 and 3, 6, right? Let's continue. 1 and 1, 2. 2 plus 3, 5. And finally, we arrived at point A. So that's 5 plus 6, which is equal to 11. So therefore, the answer here is 11. So there are 11 ways to get from point
Teacher, I'm wrong.
A. What is it? Do you have a concern? What is it?
So, can you go to the question 5? I want to copy the work.
You have to copy the question, okay? You can do this one. However, you don't need to copy the question because this meeting is recorded. So you can replay it, and I think they would be giving the solution manual as well, right? So you'll have a copy of the solution and then the questions itself. Clear? Okay. So are there any further questions?
Teacher,
Any
I have a
questions?
question.
Yeah, you have a question? Yes, what is it?
Happy.
Do we need to write the units
No.
in the end?
Yes, there is no need to write for the units for HKIMO. And you have to ask also the proctor just to be sure. Before you start the competition, you can ask the proctor, teacher or coach or let's say Mr. Proctor or Miss Proctor, do we need to write down the unit? But I do believe that with HKIMO, units are no longer needed. Okay. Is that clear? Did I answer your question? Okay, no
Yeah.
further questions? Okay, I
Yeah,
will be able
bye.
to see you next Sunday. Oh, oops. Don't go out yet. Let's take a picture. This would be like a rare time that we would be gathered together. Open your cameras, everyone.
Sun.
Okay, let me pause the recording so you can start picture.